For today's cruise news, a couple has been left in a foreign port by a cruise ship for making one simple mistake. They didn't listen to their own daughter. Also, the most popular destination for cruise passengers in all of Alaska is finalizing plans to limit the amount of passengers that can visit the destination each day. This is of course in anticipation for the massive growth of the cruise ship industry in the coming years. Finally, we have a small update on Royal Caribbean's secret plans. As you all know, Royal Caribbean is currently known for building some of the largest cruise ships in the entire world. Over the past several months, there have been rumors confirmed to be true that they are going to be working on a smaller class of cruise ship. We'll go over the details in today's video. So before we sail into today's news, I do have one quick announcement. Later on today, I will be uploading a second video on my second channel, the Travel News channel, giving you all travel news content that is outside of cruising. I've been pretty inconsistent over there, well, even on this channel. As many of you know, I've been dealing with a lot, taking care of some business. Now that all that is over, I will be uploading every day on this channel and my second channel, the Travel News channel. And of course, I have cruises coming up, which means I'll be putting vlogs on my vlog channel, Jay the Nomad. So I would appreciate your support and thank you so much. Getting into the first story, somebody please enlighten me. What has the world come to when a teenager, a child of two full-grown adults' parents, has to be the voice of reason? There was recently a post that went viral on Reddit that is making its rounds on the internet about a teenager that had recently graduated from high school, and usually she goes on vacation with her parents. Typically they go to resorts instead of cruises. However, she had always wanted to go on a cruise over to the Caribbean, so they did so. The two parents and the daughter were over hanging out in one of the Caribbean ports doing a little bit of shopping and excursions. However, throughout the vacation, the daughter would tell the parents repeatedly, this is not a resort. It's not always going to be there when you get back. So whatever it is that you have to do not be late. However, they would not listen to their own daughter. As they would be shopping in one of the Caribbean ports, the daughter would then tell the parents that they have to get back to the ship. They just waved her off, told her to go on without her, and they'll meet her later. They wouldn't return for another 45 minutes to the ship, but of course by that time, the ship had sailed on its merry way off into the sunset. The parents would inevitably end up being stuck over in this foreign port. They would then have to buy a plane ticket to fly over to the next Caribbean island to meet up with their ship. And what's crazy about this, according to the teenager, the parents got mad at her for not holding the ship for 45 minutes while they continued on with their shopping and decided to arrive late. Let me be the first to remind all of you, because I understand it is summertime, a peak season for cruising, meaning there's going to be a lot of first-time cruisers jumping on cruise ships for the first time. You are not special. The cruise ship will leave you in that foreign port. Doesn't matter if it's Nassau, Bahamas, Mexico. While you're doing all your shopping and enjoying all your margaritas over at Margaritaville and Senior Frogs, you will get left, and now you're going to be stuck in that port having to pay your way to go home or to the next foreign port. Just be mindful of the time of when the cruise ship leaves and be back before that. For cruise news story number 2, we have to talk about a round of negotiations taking place over at the final frontier between three parties: the local communities over in Juneau, Alaska, the local government over there, as well as the governing body for all the cruise operations globally, CLIA, which is the Cruise Line International Association. They have recognized that cruising is booming. There are a lot of people taking cruises, going to Alaska, going to the Caribbean, going to the Med, and with that boom in Alaska specifically, they want to make sure that it's controlled as possible so that the environment overall over in Juneau, Alaska is not affected in a negative way. Effective in 2 years in the year 2026, some changes will be made. First off, there will only be 5 large cruise ships allowed to dock over in Juneau, Alaska. As we all know, the cruise ship industry is playing that game of who can make the biggest, largest cruise ship. There is no exception over in Alaska, so they do want to limit the amount of ships that are going to be in that specific area. With that said, when it comes down to the total of people, the port is only going to allow 16,000 people per day to be over at Juneau, Alaska from Sunday through Friday, and on Saturdays, only 12,000 people per day. This is, of course, to decrease congestion and noise pollution over in the area. All in all, season through season, it's going to equal out to roughly 1.6 million people visiting Juneau, Alaska every single year. Essentially, what they want to do is preserve that number. They want to cap it off at that number. So with the expected growth rate going on right now in the cruise ship industry and people's popularity for it, they don't want it to increase over in Juneau, Alaska, because it could potentially cause problems. As a small added change for the passengers visiting Juneau, Alaska, they are going going to be expanding the Mendenhall Glacier Park, getting better transportation over there, which arguably it's not really that bad. They're pretty well organized over there, and just kind of organizing the town area, the shopping district a little bit better so that people can ebb and flow there effortlessly. Obviously, this is a good thing, and as somebody that absolutely loves going to Alaska, especially Juneau, I love visiting the Mendenhall Glacier, doing whale watching, and then concluding my day getting some Alaskan king crab over at Tracy's. It is going to be nice that we aren't going to potentially ever have to worry about a ton of congestion over there. Finally, for our last story, as we all know, Royal Caribbean has been busy. They've been getting brand deals with casinos and talking about putting beach clubs in Nassau, Bahamas and Cozumel as well. And of course, we can't forget the launch of now the world's largest cruise ship, Icon of the Seas. We got Utopia of the Seas launching next month. I'll be on it, which I'm very excited for. We have Star of the Seas launching next year, and there is another Icon class ship currently in production. However, within all of this big news in this apparent mega ship era, people want to know, when are smaller ships coming out? Well, as most of you know, over the past couple months, there have been whispers and rumors about an alleged Discovery class by Royal Caribbean. They want smaller ships, and it was only about 2 months ago that Michael Bailey announced that essentially this has been confirmed. Up until this point, we haven't really known much. The smallest ship operating right now within Royal Caribbean's fleet is, of course, Grandeur of the Seas. However, we now know that Royal Caribbean is eyeing smaller ships, but not their smallest. They are looking at ships that are going to be more in the category of the Radiance and Vision class. We also know that in the coming years, as far as the Royal Caribbean ships that are currently offering sailings and vacations and itineraries out of places like Europe, they will be downsizing, limiting to about 5 cruise ships that will only be in those specific areas. Why? Because, quite frankly, people are getting tired of the same itinerary. When you have these mega ships, I'm talking about Oasis class to Icon class, that are going over to Europe, because of Europe's infrastructure, it doesn't have a lot of space for mega cruise ships to go over to. It is believed that in the coming years, soon enough, most of the mega ships, that of which being all the Icon class ships and the Oasis class ships, will be primarily sailing out of the United States. Why? Because 60 to 70% of cruising operations are American passengers anyway, meaning there will be a steady flow of new cruisers, returning cruisers that don't really care too much about the same itineraries, your Nassau, Bahamas, your Caribbean cruises that are going to the same places over and over again. Meanwhile, you are of course going to have a large demographic of loyal to royals that want more exotic and unique vacations, going to places like the Galapagos, maybe even Antarctica. You're going to have those smaller ships like the Discovery class and maybe their first ship, Discovery of the Seas, fill that void for those passengers that are tired of the same old, same old. Do keep in mind, however, this hasn't been 100% confirmed, but if you look around in the climate and if you go to any of these ports in the United States, especially here in Florida where I am, your Miamis and Fort Lauderdales and Port Canaveral, the writing is on the wall. It makes sense for the mega ships to stay over in these stereotypical places, while the smaller ships go over to the more exotic ones that are highly sought after and probably going to be a little more expensive. It just makes sense. Anyways, that's what I got for today's video. Of course, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit that like button on your way out. Please go subscribe to my other channel, the Travel News Channel. I greatly appreciate it, and I'll see all of you soon. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.